be put on a number of different cargo ships to be transported there. And Julius, who was a Roman official, a leader in the army, was the one that was to look after Paul during his time. And Julius found great favor in Paul. He liked him, and so he would allow, whenever they came to a port, to have Paul leave and go have his friends tend to him, or to his friends to come to him. Now the trip was a terrible one. They had just terrible weather. As they tried to make it across the sea out towards Rome, they just kept hitting storms and unfavorable winds. And so by the time that winter was coming on, they'd made it as far as a port called Fairhaven on the island of Crete. And so they stayed there. The captain wasn't happy. He goes, "There's no way we can winter here at this port. We've got to find a different place." But Paul went to Julius and says, "Go and talk to the captain, because if we leave this port, you're going to lose the ship, you're going to lose the cargo, and we might even lose people's lives." Well, the Roman soldier, Julius, he was thinking, yeah, considered that, what Paul had said, but in the end, he ended up going with the captain. The captain knew best, and he let the captain take the ship out. So they got favorable breeze one day, and they said, "This is it, the gods are with us," and off they went. But they weren't out at sea very long, and they realized that another storm had come up. And this time, they tried to keep the boat as close to land as they could, but they just couldn't. The sailors fought it, but the wind kept driving them out to the deep water. And finally, the captain says, "Okay, just quit fighting it. Let the wind blow us where it will." And that went on for several days. At that point, they realized, we've got to throw the cargo overboard. By the third day, they'd thrown the tackle over, and at that point, they'd given up all hope. We're never making it out of this trip alive. At that point, Paul gathered them all together, and he says, "I warned you that we weren't supposed to leave, but you didn't listen to me. But now I do have good news for you, because last night an angel came to me, and he told me that God has this message for me, that I will stand trial in Rome before Caesar, and that we will lose this ship, but we will not die. And what God has spoken is going to come true, that we will all live, but the ship will be lost." Well, that storm went on for 14 days. Around midnight of the 14th day, they were struggling. They were trying to, they hadn't seen the sun or the moon for days now, but they kept taking soundings to see how deep the water was, and they realized that the water was getting shallower. And so they knew that they were going to be run aground if they didn't stop it, and they didn't want that to happen in the middle of the night, so they let down the anchors to hold. Now, some of the sailors said, "Well, let's pretend like we're letting down the anchors, and we're going to let down the lifeboats and get out of here." But at that point, when Paul saw it, he went to Julius and says, "If they leave this ship, we're all going to die." So immediately the soldiers went and cut the lifeboats and just let them drop into the sea. And at that point, everybody was just holding on to hope to make it till the sun came up. When the sun came up the next day, they did see that there was a land. Now, nobody knew what island it was. They had been so blown off course. But after a while, the captain saw a bay that it looked sandy, and he goes, "Okay, this is our chance." And so they pulled up the anchors, and they actually hoisted a sail and just let the wind drive them towards this island, hoping to get to shore. But before they got there, they hit a sandbar, and this boat stuck. And with the waves crashing in the back and the front stuck, it just started to destroy the boat. And at that point, the Roman soldier says, "Well, let's kill all the prisoners so that they don't get away." But Julius, again, because of his fondness of Paul, says, "No, that's not a great idea," and he wouldn't allow them to kill him. Instead, he says, "Let's jump into the water. Those of you that can swim, swim to shore. Those of you that can't, find a piece of plank or some part of the boat and float into shore." And so in a little while, all of them were in the ocean, and they all started to come towards the land, and all 276 made it safely to shore.